Spencer Haywood, the reason for the ovation.
When Spencer filed his lawsuit, it was like unheard of. I remember him playing in the '68 Olympics, and he was only 19 years old.
He was the first one I ever saw that controlled the ball with one hand.
There'd have been no Magic, there'd have been no Kobe Bryant, and that's all because of Spencer Haywood.
His historic victories in and on the court.
You cannot divorce yourself from a championship.
His devastating battles with loss and addiction.
Let's put the hammer, let's make an example.
Paved his path to basketball immortality. Eunice Haywood fainted at her husband's funeral in April 1949. 3 weeks later, Spencer Haywood was born, 3 months early. Within days, Eunice was back in the fields of Silver City, Mississippi, with a sack over each shoulder. One was a 12-foot bag she filled with 100 pounds of cotton. In the other, she carried a future Hall of Famer. By the age of 4, Spencer Haywood was dragging his own bag of cotton.
I made $2 a day. I picked from sun up to sundown. And to explain to your audience what a cotton picker is, you put a sack on your shoulder and you stand over a row of cotton and you pick it. You fill the sack up with 100 pounds. You drag that sack back to this truck, weigh it, dump it out, go back and start picking again. I hated it. I thought it was the worst thing. But what it was doing for me was developing hand and eye coordination. I developed strong legs and body, and I learned what hard work was all about. And I was with my family. We were sharecroppers. We were so dirt poor. We didn't have money to buy a basketball. My mother put together this croaker sack and put cotton in the sack. And we made us a basketball. We put a barrel rim up on the tree there in the yard, and we went to balling. We could not bounce, but we would like say bump, bump, pass, or shoot. And that was our rules. And so that's how I learned to love the game. Right there, barefooted in the Dust Bowl, playing basketball. This is a beautiful thing, you know.
At the age of 15, he saved up $17 for bus fare and moved in with his older brother in Chicago. Soon after, they moved to Detroit, where Haywood's years of labor paid off. He became the best high school player in the city, leading his team to its first ever state championship.
Spencer was a very outstanding low post player.
He was the first one I ever saw that controlled the ball with one hand. He could extend it and use it as a fake, and really was extremely long-armed and could finish with ease.
And he was the best player. He was a dominant player at that time. He was a wonderful talent. I remember him playing in the '68 Olympics, and he was only 19 years old.
In April 1968, 3 weeks shy of Haywood's 19th birthday, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and the United States is a bubbling cauldron of racial tension. Professor Harry Edwards encouraged all black athletes to boycott the Olympics. With Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the other top college basketball players sitting out, Coach Hank Iba turned his eyes to the junior college level. There he found Spencer Haywood.
Then we went to Albuquerque. That's where the Olympic trials were. And I remember playing in the first big game there. And Hank Iba said, "Hold it, I don't want you to get hurt, son. You're going to make this team. I just came here to get me some gear and come back to Detroit and say, boys, I tried out for the Olympic team." And all of a sudden, I was the #1 player.
In Mexico City, Haywood made history. But first, he witnessed it.
The big race came up. Tommy Smith and John Carlos got in their squat. The gun went up, pow. They were like, and then you had this Australian, like edging in there. We were like, "Hey man, who's that guy?" John Carlos looked over to see what Tommy was. All of a sudden, John Carlos got third and Tommy got first. What a race, what a race, it was beautiful. And the next thing you know, they're up on the stage with the glove on. We were like, what the?
All black athletes face the pressure of competing for their country and the pressure of deciding whether to protest against it.
George Foreman, Bob Beeman, Dick Fosbury, all of us was in this big meeting, that big room. We're sitting there talking. We're going to make a statement, and we're going to do these things, and the door opened. Hey, that's Jesse Owens. And he said, "Look, gentlemen, ladies, just dignified, just class." And we were like, "Oh, man, old Uncle Tom dudes, and he got angry and he looked around at us and he was like, how would any of you felt if you had to run before Hitler? And we decided, well, we got a ball, and then we played our semifinal game, and we were like waiting for the Russians because, see, you gotta remember, this was a Cold War era, and the Russians got knocked off by Yugoslavia. We were like, oh my God, still, we gotta fight with the Yugs. They were communists too, so Hank Ivor was yelling and screaming in the locker room, those commie bastards can't take it from us. You know you can't have it, let it happen. And we were like, fired up, let's go. And I get out there and I'm like, oh my God. And Howard Cosell, it's like yapping and running his mouth, and like we'll say down south. He janked me up real good when he caught me the day before. Well, we got billions of people watching you. I'm like, you mean they see it in Detroit and in Mississippi? Yes, this is ABC, sir. What do you think this is? Where are you from? You must be from Mississippi. I'm like, okay. So Howard had me all nervous about all these people watching, and if I failed, it was going to be like, on you. And so I was really geeked in the game. We tipped the ball off in the finals, and I made a layup, and I just ran straight on off the floor into the locker room, threw all up, drank water, and ran straight back out in the locker room, coming back in. And they took Ken Spain out and ran me back in, and I was like, okay. And that was the gold medal round. So I had a tremendous game. Set the scoring record that lasted for 44 years. And I set the rebounding record and most shot blocks. I'm leading America to this gold medal. And when I got up on the podium, everything was fine up until that point. And then I just started bawling like this kid I was. And everything just came up. I mean, I came out of the cotton field. I got up on this big podium, had the flag draped on me, and it was just like, wow. I was not American 3 years before in Silver City, and now I'm an American hero. Boy, this country is pretty cool.
He came on the scene with not a lot of notoriety. Not a lot of people heard the name Spencer Haywood, and he just dominated. And then right after that, he went pro, and he challenged the system.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an illegal player on the floor, number 24, but this night we have an injunction, and he must be escorted off the floor, off the grounds in which this arena sets on. Yay! Everybody start cheering, yay, we got him tonight.
Haywood played a year in the ABA, winning the MVP as a 20-year-old rookie. When he made the jump to the NBA's Seattle Supersonics the following year, the league tried to disallow the contract. The NBA required all players to be 4 years removed from high school. It led to a battle from the gym floor to the high courts.
He throw things and call me all those other names that I heard in Mississippi all of my life. So it was like, yeah, okay. And then I would sit out for 10 days. I would fly into the Spirit Court in California, in Los Angeles. And then I'll get an injunction again to play again. And I'll go back out on the floor again. Yeah, I'm back. I ripped the ball off. I pushed it up the floor. I brought it back to the right, and I just took off from the free throw line like, yeah, baby. Bam! And then the NBA were like, oh my God, he's back. And so then we'll have another fight. They would get another injunction. It was combat. I went through that for a whole year. And I was so beat down, I had lost 20 pounds. It was so draining. I mean, just hell on earth. I mean, you got other people talking in your ear and saying, well, why don't you give it up, leave it alone, just play next year? I mean, what's the big deal? I'm like, what? This is revolutionary times. I'm a revolutionary. I wasn't, but I was wearing the hat. And my whole goal behind all of this, my mother, at the same time that we were going through all of this great promotion, all these other things, she was still picking cotton in Silver City, Mississippi for $2 a day. Her back had went out, so she was this old lady dragging this thing on her back, and it was like trying to get up and down those rows of cotton and feed kids and live. And here I am trying to get her this big house.
Haywood's impoverished background was the basis for his hardship lawsuit against the NBA. Under the U.S. antitrust laws, Haywood argued that he shouldn't have to wait to pull his mother out of poverty.
And then we went to the state Supreme Court in Sacramento, and then into Washington, D.C. at the Supreme Court. Thurgood Marshall says, we cannot discriminate and keep a player from making a living because of the Sherman Antitrust Act. And so therefore, you won the case, 7-2. And I was like, wow, I know the players are going to love me. This is going to be like great. So my first game back, everybody was boycotting me still. The fans, the teams that I was playing against, until the greatest ball player of all times. I know everybody thinks it's Jordan, but it wasn't. It's the captain. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar stopped the game in Milwaukee and gave me a big bear hug. And everybody said, oh my God, it's okay. Wilt said it's okay. Jerry West says it's okay now. Oscar Robertson says it's okay. Elton Baylor says it's okay. And the burden's lifted off.
Freed to focus on basketball, Haywood dominated in Seattle for 5 years, making 4 All-Star teams and averaging 25 points and 12 rebounds per game.
From the Seattle Supersonics, his first trip to the All-Star game, number 2, Spencer Haywood. West in the light yellow uniforms, or if you're watching in black and white, it'll be the white uniforms. And Spencer Haywood gives to Gail Goodrich. He shoots over to Hudson, and here's Jerry West in front court. Spencer Haywood. He is fouled by Hudson.
I know the Warriors, the San Francisco Warriors, and they won the game the rest of the
Wow, you see Spencer Haywood go to the basket? That's called determination.
Ast became the game's highest paid player after a 1975 trade sent him to the New York Knicks. The Big Apple was a world leader in finance, commerce, and media. And as Spencer Haywood soon realized, it was also at the center of the fashion world.
New York is where I fell in love for the first time. I saw this beautiful sister walking down the street, and I said, hey, I want that girl. And that was Iman, the supermodel. So we started dating. We soon after got married. And we had a baby, Zuleika, and I was in love. New York, man. I was in the creative artists, and theater, and all of that stuff, along with playing basketball. I had a great time, but after 4.5 years, New York and I had a divorce.
Haywood got a fresh start in Los Angeles in 1979 with a team that was about to become a dynasty.
I remember when he got acquired by the Lakers, I'd played against him. I had defended him. I knew how difficult that was and what a great player he was. And he had strong hands that allowed him to pump it. It was unorthodox. And during that time, most coaches would not allow you to hot dog like that. That's what they would call it. But Spencer used it. It was very effective, especially on the pump fake, loosen up his defensive man to allow him to make his move.
So I was looking forward to being on the same team with him, opposite each other, power forward, small forward. I was excited.
Spencer Haywood changed the landscape of the NBA in the courts. Thanks to the Haywood hardship rule, a sophomore out of Michigan State was about to lead an NBA revolution on the court.
And I remember the first practice. I had been in the league for 8, 9 years, and the veterans are like, oh man, let's get it loosened up, get it straightened out. This guy was like coming down and saying, hey baby, get over there, get over there, get over there. Boom, hitting me with the passes. And like, wait a minute, I think I'll take off too and, do some stuff. Me and Kareem and all of it kind of got bored, and all of a sudden it was like, hey, I'm not looking, but you looking. Hey, watch out. And, I got to catch this. Magic was like... I look back on that year with the Lakers. That was so joyful because of Magic. Kareem let go of his inhibitions, and Jamal, everybody was like, we were like kids again. And that's the way basketball is supposed to be enjoyed to the max, and you're boiling over with joy to play. And it wasn't about money and nothing, it was just balling. I loved that. I loved that period in my life.
Long before Kobe Bryant immortalized number 24, Haywood decided to change it.
I was the original 2-4, Then we were like sitting around, we were talking, we were like, hey man, Magic, I'm 32. Kareem, I'm all 33. Wood, why don't you change your 24 to 31 this year? I was like, yeah, we the first time in Big Three. Yeah, we the dog. So I changed my number to 31. Maybe that was a bad sign.
The Hollywood lifestyle caught up with Haywood. By the end of the season, he had spiraled out of control.
I tripped on my own shoe because I fell into cocaine. My first hit was like my last hit. I was constantly chasing that journey. And every time I would take a hit off the pipe and I would see devils. By the end of the season, it overtook me. We're in the finals against Philadelphia with 3 games to go. And everybody says, well, we got him now, finally. We done waited for 10 years for one slip. Let's put the hammer, let's make an example. I was expelled with 3 games to go. Pretty rough. It was very hard on my wife. It was so hard on her. We had a miscarriage and everything, and that was my year in LA. The best, the worst, and all in between. After the season, Kareem, Jamal, Norm Nixon, and the guys got together and spent time with me and said, hey man, you know, the best thing is to let you move on out of here, but you know, we still partners, we still righteous, we're decent people and everything, and so I moved on out of there. But you cannot divorce yourself from a championship. Out of all of the crazy stuff that go on in life at that time and point, it is who we are. We are Lakers, a Laker nation. We'll never change.
There were big changes in Haywood's life. After a year in exile playing basketball in Italy, he returned to the NBA in the scene of his Supreme Court victory. He put up solid numbers for the Washington Bullets, but in his second year in D.C., tragedy struck. Cocaine swept through America in the 1980s, ruining lives from the inner city to Wall Street. The overdose death of Len Bias, 2 days after being picked number 2 in the 1987 NBA draft, made drugs the league's #1 issue. Spencer Haywood shared his story of the perils of addiction and the recovery that saved his life.
And I didn't look at it at the time as it being, being the example for something greater for the league, but I did turn out to be that example of what not to do, because there's, you know, we will expel you from the league, do all these things to you, you know. So I ended up deterring all the players. So looking on the other side of it, I saved a lot of lives.
By then, he was building a new life with his second wife, Linda, and 3 more daughters. In April 2015, a few days before his 66th birthday, Haywood got the call that honored his life's work.
I was sitting here in my home because I've been waiting. I had been waiting 27 years, knowing that you were qualified as a player. And that was like so painful. It was so darn painful. And for some reason, this year felt different because I had Charles Barkley out there fighting for me. And my youngest daughter, Isis, she's sitting here with me, and I'm like, wait a minute. Finally, I get the call, and they says, "You're in." It was joyful.
After years of fighting for the right to play, Spencer Haywood won his place among the greatest players when he was selected to the Naismith Hall of Fame class of 2015.
I'm so glad he's in the Hall of Fame.
Well deserved. He was a phenomenal athlete that, like a lot of us, you know, have challenges and obstacles to overcome in life. He overcame those.
And he was really the first player to leave to play professional basketball at a very young age like that. And he was just a terrific player. Very good rebounder, shot blocker, could score on the block, very athletic.
You know, not only his play on the floor, which was Hall of Fame caliber, but the stand he took.
That is a huge legacy. He set the precedent for doing that, because a lot of guys follow, including myself.
There'd have been no Magic for the Lakers in 1979, 80. There'd have been no Kobe Bryant. Big game. James Worthy. I'm just talking about the Lakers. There'd have been no Michael Jordan for the Bulls. He came out after his junior year. And, you know, on and on and on. It's all due to Spencer Haywood.
When the Atlanta Hawks owner bring me down, it was owners saying, you have taken us from 250 million to 2 billion. So that's what the growth period came up on this case, on the back of me. And it's, I mean, I think that this year, all of this stuff is coming to a level of understanding, not only for the owners, but the players are now beginning to understand what significance this case was for their growth and their economic value. Say for my fellow Laker, Kobe, he added 4 years on to his basketball career.
I believe the Lakers benefited most. I mean, it would be hard to think someone else benefited more. I mean, when you start looking at Magic, Worthy, Kobe.
The Lakers it's my home. I mean, it's where I won my championship. Dr. Buss used to come in town. First person he would call would be me. I'd come on down and it's like, man, I don't want to see you play cards all day. I mean, come on, dude. And he just playing and he was just in heaven, but it was such a joy to see that. And Kareem and I have close relationship. Magic is very caring, and Jamal Wilkes, that's my little brother. So I had came through picking cotton in Silver City, the Olympics, going to the Supreme Court, playing the game that I love, the experience in LA. I had to brush myself off and get back up. And my mother's favorite song is Mahalia Jackson. He may not come when you want him, but he's always right on time. So the hall is right on time. And this whole experience is right on time.
Born 3 months early, Spencer Haywood won a high school state championship, an Olympic gold medal, and an ABA MVP award. In 1980, he added an NBA title during a career in which he led the league throughout its most turbulent time. Over the next 30 years, the Lakers won 9 titles, every one made possible by players who entered the NBA early.